Good afternoon, my peoples. Welcome back to the counterattack. Hope you and yours are doing very, very well. It's a serious one today, so let's hop right into it. Thomas Partey, the now former Arsenal midfielder, has been charged by the Crown Prosecution Service with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault against 3 victims between 2021 and 2022. The CPS concluded after a 3-year investigation that there is enough evidence to reach a conviction. In a statement from Partey's lawyer, Jenny Wiltshire, she states Thomas Partey denies all charges against him and he now welcomes the opportunity to finally clear his name. In case you have not been keeping up with the timeline of all of this, we're going to run through it really quick. Partey was first arrested in July 2022 on suspicion of rape. A few weeks later, the Twitter account @DefoNotChar stated she was one of Partey's alleged victims. She detailed out Partey's behavior and provided screenshots of texts, Snapchat conversations, and pictures that proved she knew him and was in some kind of relationship with him. The backlash against her was predictably ferocious from some corners of the Arsenal support, and she would eventually delete her account, but not before saying that the Arsenal safeguarding team let her and the other victims down. Partey continued to play for Arsenal in Ghana over the next 3 seasons, appearing in over 100 matches. Partey will now appear at Westminster's Magistrates Court on August 5th. The Metropolitan Police have not been able to reveal his name till now because of the rules around privacy in the United Kingdom, but we finally have some clarity as to what's going on from the investigators, and that clarity has only led to more questions, but one thing is becoming very clear. I can understand that there are legal and contractual complexities to this case. Partey was contracted to Arsenal and apparently passed the safeguarding protocol that's in place to protect vulnerable people. Furthermore, I cannot imagine that high-ranking club officers, probably on the board, didn't sanction his continued involvement in the team over the last 3 years. The more the picture gets filled in, the more shameful it looks and less plausible the explanations get. What did the club know and when? Why wasn't Partey suspended? How much did the playing staff know? Why did the FA do absolutely nothing? And where is the Premier League in all of this? Add to this the unedifying spectacle of Partey's contract extension negotiations. Since the season ended, the club and Partey have been going back and forth on whether he would sign on for another year or two. Assuming this is true, I cannot fathom why they would want to even entertain such an idea. You really want to get back into bed with someone accused of such horrendous crimes? The timing of all this reeks of ass covering by the club, and I believe that was their strategy since his initial arrest 3 years ago. The club couldn't or didn't want to do anything that would harm his future prospects or potentially make them liable for violating his employment rights. But after his contract expired, that protection seems to have evaporated. This reveals just how much the responsible officers at Arsenal were concerned with protecting the corporate entity over concern for anything else. It was a strategy and they executed it to its conclusion. Well, it's backfired in spectacular fashion. Partey has been charged by the CPS, and the club, the FA, and Premier League look incompetent at best and complicit at worst. The atmosphere inside the ground has been affected, with some Arsenal supporters caught between supporting the club and their disgust for Partey's alleged behavior. Opposing fans have been very vocal about what they think, and you can hear the boos and even the chants of rapist every single time he touched the ball. All of that pales in insignificance with the added trauma that his victims must feel every time he makes an appearance, every time he's chosen to speak to the media or lauded by the manager and his teammates. It took immense courage for those 3 women to come forward knowing the tribalism rampant through our sport and how the system treats victims of sexual violence. Now, many will say the system worked exactly the way it should, but there are inherent flaws with the system. Therefore, there has to be an investigation into what went on. The safeguarding protocols have to be revamped. The board members involved in even discussing a contract extension need to be seriously questioned. I appreciate that investigations into sexual assault allegations take a long time to sort through, and the club were within their legal rights. But allowing a player to play on during the process just isn't right. This needs to change. Honor Barber, an Arsenal supporter and a founding member of the Arsenal Supporters Against Sexual Violence group, said, "There's a lot of fans who are really outraged by this, but don't really know what to do next. It's not just about Thomas Partey. We know 7 out of 20 Premier League clubs have had players investigated for sexual violence. The reason why Premier League clubs can have these vastly different approaches amongst them is because there is no directive from the FA. Individual clubs just pass the buck between them. They say, oh, we haven't received guidance. Then the Premier League say, oh no, it's up to the FA. Then the FA say, no, it's up to the clubs. Ms. Barber is spot on here. The laissez-faire manner that these sporting entities handle alleged crimes with is not sufficient. As there is in many other industries, we need new mandatory rules enforced on clubs when players face police investigation. Only then can clubs claim to be safeguarding vulnerable individuals. Thank you for sticking with me. Take care.